Clara Hart had always lived her life inside the safety of books. In her little bookshop tucked between the glass towers and busy streets of Brookhaven City, she found refuge in stories of courage, betrayal, and redemption. But behind her steady smile and gentle voice, she carried a story of her own, one she had never told, one she could never quite close. It was the story of Daniel Cole, the boy she loved, and the man who vanished without warning 15 years ago, leaving behind nothing but a promise. Clara and Daniel had met as students, back when the city felt endless and the future was wide open. She studied literature, forever buried in novels, while he studied architecture, sketching skylines that stretched toward the clouds. They had been opposites, yet something unexplainable drew them together. One snowy night, locked out of the campus library, Clara shivered in the cold until Daniel appeared, wrapping his scarf around her shoulders. "Don't worry," he had said, with a grin that reached his eyes. "I won't let you freeze. Not tonight, not ever." That was how it began, an act of kindness that grew into something deeper. Their love was quiet, but strong. They never needed grand gestures. Instead, they found magic in the ordinary. Late-night coffee runs, secret notes left in books, walks along the river where the city lights flickered like stars. And then, one night on the bridge where they so often met, Daniel had taken her hands and whispered, "No matter what happens, Clara, I promise you, I'll always come back to you. Always." She had believed him with her whole heart, but promises, she would learn, could be broken. The very next year, Daniel disappeared. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. His phone was disconnected, his apartment emptied, his life erased, as if he had never existed. Clara filed reports, asked friends, followed every lead, but it was like chasing smoke. Days turned into months, months into years, and through it all, she clung to the bridge, clung to the promise, whispering into the night, "I'm still here, Daniel. I'm still waiting." 15 years passed. Clara was 35 now, her parents gone, her bookshop the only piece of stability she had left. Customers admired her kindness, but no one knew the ache she carried, the silence that lived in her chest. And then, on the first snowy evening of December, everything changed. The bell above the shop door chimed. Clara looked up from the counter and froze. A man stood in the doorway, tall, hood pulled low. When he pulled it back, her breath caught. The years had marked him, lines around his eyes, streaks of grey in his hair. But she knew that face, Daniel. The book fell from her hand. For a moment, the world spun between fury and longing, grief and relief. All she could say was, "You promised." Daniel's voice cracked. "I know, and I came back. But Clara, I can't stay. Not yet." The words hit like a second abandonment. But this time, he gave her answers. 15 years ago, Daniel had uncovered something dangerous at his internship. Documents exposing corruption at the highest levels of the city. Syndicates, bribes, deals in shadows. When they realized what he knew, he became a target. And when they learned about Clara, she became his greatest vulnerability. So he had vanished. Not because he stopped loving her, but because he loved her too much to risk her life. He had spent the years running under false names, hiding, waiting for the syndicate to fall. Only now, with their leaders finally behind bars, had he dared return. But he hadn't returned alone. At his side stood a 12-year-old girl, his daughter, Lily. Clara's world tilted. The girl's mother, Daniel explained quietly, had died years ago, leaving him to raise Lily in secret. Clara's chest ached. She couldn't hate Lily. Her wide eyes were innocent, her smile fragile, but the truth cut deep. While Clara had been waiting in silence, Daniel had built another life. The days that followed were heavy. Daniel came to the shop often, helping repair a broken window, sharing guarded smiles. Lily wandered among the shelves, slowly attaching herself to Clara, asking about stories, asking about the father she barely understood. Against her will, Clara's heart softened, but anger lingered, sharp and unyielding. Why hadn't he trusted her? Why had he chosen to protect her by destroying her? And now, what was she supposed to do with the child who carried his history? And then, just as she began to wrestle with forgiveness, the shadows returned. Men loitered outside the shop. Strange cars followed her home. Anonymous notes slipped beneath her door, warned her to stay quiet. Daniel admitted what she feared. Not everyone in the syndicate had been caught. Some still wanted the documents he had taken, and now they knew exactly where to find him, and her. The tension grew unbearable. Clara tried to keep the bookshop open, to pretend life was normal, but the city streets no longer felt safe. Daniel shadowed her every step, torn between guilt and devotion. And Lily, innocent Lily, grew restless, sensing more than anyone told her. One night, Clara returned to find her shop wrecked. Glass shattered, books strewn across the floor. Fear surged. Daniel stood among the ruins, his voice grim. "They're not finished. They'll never stop until I give them what they want." The weeks that followed blurred into fear and closeness. Clara hated how much she needed him, how much her heart still remembered him. Yet each night, as Daniel stood guard outside her shop, she realized the promise had never been empty. He had come back, broken, scarred, but back. The climax arrived on a frozen January night. Clara, Daniel, and Lily were ambushed near the bridge where the promise had been made. Men surrounded them, demanding the evidence Daniel had hidden years ago. Clara clutched Lily's hand, refusing to let go, even as panic surged. Daniel stood between them and danger, refusing to yield. The fight was chaos. Shouts, fists, the cold crack of ice beneath their feet. Daniel was struck, falling to the ground, blood staining the snow. Clara dropped beside him, her voice raw. "Don't you dare leave me again." His hand gripped hers, weak but steady. "I kept my promise," he whispered. "I came back." But this time fate relented. Sirens wailed. Red and blue lights painted the snow. The attackers fled, leaving Daniel alive but broken. Clara never left his side. Through surgeries, through recovery, through nights of fear and hope, she stayed. Slowly the city's shadows lifted. The syndicate collapsed for good. Its last members dragged into the light. And at last, Clara allowed herself to breathe. Months later, spring returned. The bookshop was restored, brighter than before. Lily, once timid, laughed freely among the shelves. Daniel, scarred but alive, leaned against the counter, sketching buildings in the margins of paper again. And Clara realized the truth. Love isn't about time measured or scars erased. It's about the courage to return, the courage to stay, the courage to begin again. On the anniversary of his disappearance, Clara stood with Daniel and Lily on the bridge. Snow melted into the river below, the city alive around them. Daniel's hand found hers, warm and sure. "Always," he whispered. And this time she believed him.